All right, so a couple of months ago, I was actually able to do something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And if you're new to this channel, you probably don't know this. Even if you're not new, you probably don't know this either. But I struggle with short game. That's kind of been my Achilles heel for the last few years because of just really getting into it and honestly getting some bad ideas about short game. You know, short game has changed, seeing these spinning shots, stuff like that, and really developing some bad habits that have become very, very tough to overcome, and it obviously starts affecting you mentally. And short game is one of those things, if you don't have it, it affects every other part of your game. You're less confident with your irons because you are not able to, you know, if you miss the green, you are really, really scared. So you're playing defensive with those. You are then hitting your putts from longer distances away because you're not hitting your irons as close. Now I'm going to three putt more. Those types of things start happening, and it all comes down from this idea that, hey, I just don't have the ability to get up and down, or in my case, not just get up and down, but it really turns into a disaster. So talk about the thing that I did was I got the chance to work with Joe Mayo. Now, my wife even was telling me, hey, you should go see this guy because she was tired of hearing about this. $750 an hour, and Joe, you know, go see this guy to fix this because it's obviously affecting you. Now, for me, I was very, very curious to see him, but we were lucky enough at Mistwood that he came to us because he needed to teach some lessons in Chicago. So he came out, we were able to host him, he taught some lessons, he would then let us shadow him, and he actually let us work with him a little bit, especially me because everybody else knows how bad my short game was and they wanted me to get the help I needed. So this shot happens all the time for me. It's a par 5. I've hit it down in front of the green in 2, somewhere right around here. And normally you're thinking, all right, I'm in the go zone. Let's get this thing up and down for birdie. And at very least, you're going to make par. But for me, what's not happening from here, if I take out the wedge, and sometimes I do it because I'm trying to like force myself to hit the shot, but this easily turns into 6, 7, 8, 9 sometimes because I can't get the ball on the green here. This is a very tight, firm golf course. This is up a slope, if you can't see it that well on the screen, but it is up a decent slope, up 8 feet, you know, so that's taller than me. But that's what we're going up here, and I need to hit a shot that can hit on top, and then check a little bit so it gets close to the hole. Now, what did Joe tell me about my game that you need? And you're gonna see I have a device there that I'm excited to show you. Joe told me 2 things. So the first thing is, well, the first thing he told me was, actually, the motion isn't that bad, which got me a little bit scared because the results were terrible. So then it started making me think, oh man, I'm really screwed. But I was missing 2 key elements to what we were doing. So the first thing was I needed in setup to get taller so my arms could be as long as possible. Long as possible arms here. So that was the instructions. Feel like your arms are extended out as long as you can. And because I was doing that, I needed to get in a little bit closer so I could get the golf ball centered on the face. So that just naturally made me move in a little bit closer. Now, the second thing that I needed to do was I did a good job of setting my wrists. So in short game, you'll also hear Joe talk about getting the club more outside. I think that's something you see really good pitchers do, is get the club coming back a little bit more on the outside. Not too many go way inside here. Not going to say nobody does it, but it's very rare that a great pitcher does that. And then I needed to set those wrists, so get the club to go, and I needed to then hold on to those angles. So the big thing that I was struggling with is I would dump my wrist angles early. So I've got this device on. Now, this is a device brand new from Y Golf. I actually saw a prototype of this at the PGA show last year, and now they finally are releasing it. But this device will show you can hear it clicking, right? So you're going to hear this clicking. So if I set my wrist, if I let it go, it's going to click again. So that's excellent feedback for me because what I would do is set my wrist and almost immediately let it go. And I've actually been coached to do that. I was coached to do that because you're supposed to get loft on the club. You're supposed to use the bounce. You're supposed to do stuff like that. Now, when I used to be a very good pitcher and chipper of the golf ball, I never did any of that. I used to hold on for dear life, and I would just hit the ball first. and I would just play these lower shots. And if I needed to bounce the ball short of the green or something, I would do that, or take more loft, do that. But essentially just do this same technique. But what I started to realize is I was coached into this throwing motion, and that's causing me all types of issues. So what were the issues? Well, first off, when you start to release your wrist angles, the club gets longer. The club is getting longer. It's going to bottom out early. That is the issue. I was having terrible contact around the greens. I would chunk them, flub them, hit the ground, and then it just goes nowhere. And so what would happen is I would then get smart on that, and I would lift up. So you're throwing it, but then I've got to lift up, and that's a lot of motion to try to coordinate. And then I would blade it because I'm lifting up too much. Then everything's just gone, sending it over the green. So the thought was, all right, hey, I've got to set my wrist. Everything looks good on the way back. But from there, try to work through and hold that angle as long as I can. So if I was doing this to start, like it would almost click coming back down immediately. I'm trying to hold on to it till after the ball. That's my feel. But in reality, it's probably going to click somewhere close to making contact with the ball, because you will release them a little bit, but you're trying to delay how much that happens. So what would happen is I would get something that looks like this. So here's taller. I'm going to set and then feel like I hold on to that as long as I can. So I get something like that, little low driver, pretty good there. Hit that one pretty solid. To be honest with you, that's a win for me. I hit into the ridge, so that's why it came up short. But you can see that ball comes out at 26 degrees. I had down on it 15 degrees. That's pretty nuts. 4,800 on that spin, which is pretty good. You'll see like pros and stuff getting on this type of shot, like somewhere in the 5,000s is like a really, really spinny one. So that's pretty spinny, especially with not a brand new ball and not a brand new wedge. So let's go ahead, let's do it again. Set it, try to hold as long as possible. That one I didn't do as good, so it's gonna take off a little higher. The shot actually looks okay, but I didn't like it as much. I got to the ball first, but you can see that launch came out higher on that one. So not my favorite, not terrible, but not my favorite one. Let's do one more. That one was excellent. You can see how much lower that comes out. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna do one more. See if we can do it just a little better. Oh, that was the one. That was the one right there. Really good contact, low, and then just running up that slope. 5,000 on that spin, hitting down on it 10 degrees. So a couple other things. If you watch Joe, you'll learn some of the other things that he teaches. He does give you quite a bit. If you follow him on Instagram, he will give you quite a bit. He also has other ways that you can work with him. But those were the two main things that I needed to work on. Now, again, having that advice from him was great, but having that feedback was something that I needed. This device from Y-Golf has been phenomenal in helping remind me of what I need to be able to do. Because you could see right there, I still struggle. I had one where I released a little early. Shot turned out okay, but I feel like that was a little bit lucky. And that's not what I'm trying to rely on. I want a very consistent, very, very, very controllable shot that over time I'll get very good at. And honestly, if you ever pay attention on the back nine of very important tournaments, look at Scotty Scheffler, look at somebody like Jordan Spieth, the guys that are really, really good pitchers and chippers of the golf ball, they never hit the ball above like waist high on the back nine. They just never do unless it's an absolute necessity, because these shots are a little bit easier to control. But this device was phenomenal for me in the short game. This device has a ton of feel for the long game, and I'll talk more about that in a separate video. But as you can see, for me to be able to do this, what have I been able to do? Well, I got to get my wrist set, but for me to hold this, I need to get my body moving. I need to get some rotation and some pivot in there. Some of you might think, hey, that sounds like me and my full swing. I need some of that. Something to think about as you're looking at this device. So again, we're going to go back. Let's go ahead, set it up. Didn't do as good on that one. You can see that came out high. It's okay. I clanked it a little off the toe, so we can't end on that one. Let's get a little taller. That one's pretty good. That one was pretty good. I like that one. Obviously, it's good to get it up there close to the hole. 26 on the launch, 56.58 on the spin. That thing is humming, and that is that low spinning shot. So that's something you're looking for. There's a couple of keys that help me, and to be honest with you, this device, critical in being able to work on that for me. This is going to be essential. This is one that's going to stay in my regular golf bag, not just the teaching bag, because I'm going to use it all the time. And as always, there's always things that you can do with the short game and then the long game as well that we are going to talk about. So if you want to see some of those things, because this is honestly one of the biggest epidemics going on. Not even sure if that's the right word, but pandemic maybe, I don't know. Biggest thing that is going on right now that we are seeing is the inaccurate use of wrists across our entire teaching staff. We discuss this every week. How do we get people to set and then work their wrists properly as they're coming down? And this device, we are all excited about for that. But if you have any questions about it, I would love to hear it down below. Obviously, there are people that have arguments about, is this the right way or not? Again, not sure. There's plenty of ways to get this done. This is the one that works for me, and I think this is the one that will work for a lot of people, and it's one that I see a lot of really good players doing. So that's good enough for me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, though, because that's what we welcome here. And as always, if you have any questions, leave those comments and click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.